So, hello folks, hello everyone to BlitzDude's special stream. Tonight what we're gonna do is look at how it works if you wanna look for a job and have been invited to a job interview. So this is something we want to cover today. Actually the idea for it came through a fellow streamer actually, who told me that he'd like to apply for jobs and maybe wanted some ideas how to succeed in job interviews. So what I did, I took some of my old ideas, some of my old presentations, and prepared a few slides for you so that we can go through this old training of mine which I did earlier on. So I hope everyone sees these slides now, and we're gonna proceed with our training tonight. So how to succeed in a job interview, right? So the idea is not how to write a proper resume or how to apply for a job via phone or via Skype or whatever. The idea is when you have been invited to a job interview, how do you succeed then? So who should listen today, who should join my stream tonight is basically all the people that apply for a job, and it's regardless of the industry, the profession, education or position. So it's for all people, right? It's for people working in different areas and also different positions. So it should be fine for blue collar workers, for white collar workers, for everyone that is interesting for a new job. What are the topics we're gonna learn today? What are we gonna cover? I think these are the most important topics that we have. So the first one is always something very, very special: how to survive the first 10 minutes of a job interview, since most people are really nervous when it comes to a job interview, and when they're sitting there and one or two managers or HR guys are sitting at the other side of the table, and we're gonna learn how to do this. The second thing is we're gonna talk about nuggets and pitfalls. So nuggets are gems, gold pieces that you can collect during the interview itself from the other guys and use it to your own benefit. And pitfalls, of course, are things to be avoided. Otherwise you might lose the chance of making the best impression you can. The third thing we're gonna cover is how to answer all questions. So in every job interview there are standard questions that people are asking from both sides, and most of them can be answered the same way, and that's what we're gonna learn today, is how to answer all the questions that can be put, even the difficult ones. And the fourth thing, which is especially interesting, I think, is finding out already during the first job interview if you're gonna be hired or not. So how good your chances are, how well you performed, and there are ways to find this out even during the first job interview. So these are the things we're gonna look at today. I hope that you can learn a lot from it, and if you are participating in our stream, you can of course ask any questions in the chat, which will be prepared for you, and feel free to write any questions, and in the end we can look at it and answer them. So one thing, of course, is, hey, why should you listen to a guy called Blitzdude talking on the internet about winning in jobs interview? Well, who am I? Who is this Blitzdude 71? Actually, in a former job, I was a business unit leader in the IT consulting business. So I led a few people there, about 10 to 12 people, IT consultants, and my task was basically finding jobs for those people. So these people would have been assigned to work for other companies, mostly big companies, which were looking for contractors with specific skills, and that was my job. I had to find places where these people could work and also, of course, use their skills and make some money for our company. So the hot topics, the tough things were that a lot of IT people, maybe you have made the experience as well, they love computers. They also love checklists and algorithms, technical stuff. This is what they really like. But when it comes to people, dealing with people, a lot of IT guys are just scared shitless, okay? They are really scared of talking to people, even if they are very intelligent, very well educated, and have a lot of good skills. When it comes to people, they get scared. So how do you find jobs for these people, and how do you place them when they need to fight against very strong competition in finding those jobs? What I did was I created an algorithm, a checklist, which fits all kinds of job interviews, and any position, any skill set, any industry. And this is what we're gonna learn today. The result was, after I created this algorithm, that only one of about 70 people that went through my whole training didn't succeed, didn't get a job. Only one of 70 people. And my consultants made a turnover of over 3 million Swiss francs during 1 year, which brought us to the place of being one of the best business units in our whole company. So now you can decide if you want to listen to this Blitzdude guy or not, right? Now, first thing, who gets the job? So let's see, when you apply for a job, you have read an application in the newspaper or the internet, and a lot of companies, they always do the same mistake when it's about writing applications that people should apply for. The ads in the newspapers, the problem is that they pack it very fully of skills this guy or girl needs to have if they want to apply. And sometimes it looks like nobody could really fulfill all the requirements that they are asking for. Now I'm gonna teach you a German word, a very nice German word. So if you finish watching this stream, you gonna learn at least one German word, which is very useful in the job world. The word is die eierlegende Wollmilchsau. So this is a German word where there's no translation in English. We tried that. There are a few ideas how to translate that, but I'm gonna explain you what it is. So the eierlegende Wollmilchsau is an animal that has a lot of functionalities. So it lays eggs, obviously. It has wool that you can get from it. it gives milk every day, and in the end you can also eat it as pork, right? So this is the eierlegende Wollmilchsau. There have been translations or attempts to translate this to English. One of them was Jack in All Trades or Swiss Army Knife, but this doesn't fit the description. So the question is, does only the eierlegende Wollmilchsau get the job? The answer is, of course, not. Because who gets the job is not the eierlegende Wollmilchsau, it's the one who is best prepared for this, best prepared of all the people for this job, right? So the one who beats the competition. I always tell a story here. The story about Jim and Bob. Jim and Bob, they went on vacation to Africa, and they got on a safari. And what happened? These guys, since they were really new, they got lost. They got lost in the desert and they didn't find their way out. And what happens sometimes if you're in the desert in Africa, they saw a lion coming towards them in a very, very, very threatening fashion. So, what would you do if a lion would attack you in the desert? I'm gonna tell you what Bob did. Bob reached out into his backpack and he brought out a pair of the most fancy, expensive, cool running shoes that you can imagine. It's okay. So, running shoes in the desert, nice. Jim laughed at Bob and said, what do you think you're gonna do with your running shoes? Do you think you can run faster than the lion? And what Bob said, no man, but I can definitely run faster than yourself. Okay? So, what does this story tell us? This story tells us that the one who gets the job is not the eierlegende Wollmilchsau, but the best of the applicants to this job. Okay, so a few words about preparation if you're going to a job interview. You should know a little bit about the company you're applying for, and not only what it's written in the job description, but also know about the company. But not too much. I'm gonna tell you why not too much. The second thing that you definitely need, you need to have your algorithm ready, and I'm gonna tell you a few minutes later what the algorithm is. And the third thing, and this is very important, you need to have your pen and paper with you, because you're gonna collect nuggets here. So these are the three things you need. You need to have knowledge about the company you're applying for, you need to have your algorithm ready, and you need to have pen and paper. So, what happens when the interview starts? You meet this guy or this girl that is conducting the job interview with you. Usually, first there's a little bit small talk. Oh, how did you find our company? Is it nice weather out there? And so on and so forth. And then usually your interview partner gives you an introduction about the job, about the company, and about the position you shall fulfill. And this is very important information for you. So please write it down, because you're gonna use those nuggets later on when it comes to answering his questions and when it comes to shaping your algorithm that you have prepared before, right? So, at one point in time, the most important question where every interview usually starts is, tell me about yourself. Now, this is the point where people who have been trained by my training win the job already, right now, at this moment. And I'm gonna show you how it works. Let's look at the level of attention of this guy, of your interview partner. So, this is a pitfall. Wherever you see this sign, this is a pitfall. You can make mistakes here. At the beginning of the interview, if you look at the level of attention of your interview partner, what do you think? Is this on a high level or on a low level? What do you think? Write it in the chat. What do you think at the beginning of the interview? You have met this guy. He has met you for the first time. Is his level of attention high or low? Of course, it's high. He wants to meet this new applicant. He wants to find out one thing. Is this the person I've been looking for who can solve my problems, the problems I have in my company? I'm looking for someone because I don't want to just pay them. I want him to help me solve the problems. Exactly, Wildman. The expectation now, the level of attention is high. So, second question. If you have been in different jobs, now remember what the question is. The question is, tell me about yourself. So, how do we keep his level of attention high? Do we start talking about our first job that we had after our high school or college education, or do we talk about the current job that we have, the current position that we have, and why we're gonna change it now? I think the answer to that question is clear. Always start with the latest job, because what we want to do is keep his level of attention high. He wants to know what you did in your last job. So if you're applying for a management position, exactly, Wildman, if you're applying for a management position or a leading position, he doesn't want to know that you were, for example, a guy working, I don't know, shifts in a factory 15 years ago. He wants to know what you're doing right now. Otherwise, what happens if you start, and I mean, I had people in job interviews that were starting, if I asked them, hey, tell me about yourself. So they started, oh, you know, as every one of us, I went to primary school first, and then I finished high school, and that was very fun. And you know what the interview partner tells here? He starts thinking about, what did my wife tell me this morning? What shall I get after work? Shall I get milk or bread? Or was there something else? And they stop listening to you. So please keep the attention level of this guy as high as possible so that he listens what you have to say. How are we gonna do this? We have prepared the algorithm, and now I've already talked to you about 20 minutes about the algorithm. Now I'm gonna share with you the wisdom of the algorithm, and really it's gonna help you. So the algorithm, or the word that you need to remember, is Sahara, right? That's also why I was talking this story about the desert. we are today using the word Sahara. Now, what does this mean? Of course, that's an abbreviation. And the S stands for situation. The A is the assignment, your assignment. The H are the hot topics that you have solved in your career. The action is the explanation what you did to solve those hot topics. The R stands for result. What was the result? And the last A is the real achievement that was behind this result. So let's have a look at this. Most people, and I'm talking 80% of job applicants. In my career, I conducted about 250 job interviews. The last one was on Friday, so 2 days ago, right? Most of the people, 80% of the people, stop here after the second one. They explain the situation and they explain their assignment. That's it. So if you are hiring someone, for example, for a call center position, and you tell them, hey, please tell me about your last job, they tell you, oh, I work for a phone company and I work in a call center, and my assignment is to answer phone calls from customers. Period. Most people stop here. And I'm gonna tell you, if you compare it to what you can tell more about yourself, then this is how you're gonna win or lose in the job interview. The green line I showed you is that some of the people, a few of the remaining 20%, end with the action. So they tell them which problems they were used to solve, maybe sometimes even how they solved it, but they didn't add the result and the achievement. And that's why you gonna be better than anyone else. Let's go into details. So what is the situation? How do you describe the situation? Now you can use the nuggets you have written down to draw pictures in the mind of your interview partner. So you're gonna paint pictures, you're gonna show him that you exactly know what his situation is about. So for example, let's take the same example, someone applying for a position in a call center, right? Show your interview partner that you know how the call center looks like. So you can describe your situation using words like, oh, yes, I work in a call center, and as you said to me, there is really a group of 50 people answering the calls from clients. So I know how it looks like in a big office where a lot of people are doing the same thing. So this is already an idea how you can draw pictures in the mind of your interview partner that he can relate to. Remember, why are we doing this? We want to keep his level of attention high. The assignment. What is the assignment? The assignment is your current task, your real task. Your tasks, your goals, but also targets. For example, I'm in a position now, I'm answering calls of clients, of customers of the company, and my goal is daily to answer at least 150 phone calls. This may be a target that you have in your company, so tell him that you're familiar with the work in his particular industry and your profession. That's how you paint another picture in his mind. The third thing, and this is very important, hot topics. So he's a professional, you're a professional. He told you the nuggets, he told you which problems he wants to have solved. Show him that you know which the problems are. You can tell him, for example, oh, I know how it is if I have to answer more than 3 calls at a time, or I see all my colleagues are on the line and there are still 10 or 20 customers waiting to be answered. I know what the problems are here. Show him. And then, of course, you need to show him your action. How do you solve the problem? For example, in the call center situation, I always write down the issues of those people. I try to get back as soon as possible when I see there's another one on the line. Things like that. Now, here again, here's a pitfall again. What is the pitfall? The pitfall is most of the people, and I think these are the junior ones or the modest ones, really the modest people, they do one mistake. They are talking in terms of team or us. This is not the right place to do so, guys. It's not the team what counts, it's you, it's your contribution that you had here. You know, if I interview a guy and he tells me about the project he's involved to, and he's telling me, oh, we did a great job, we satisfied the client, we were fast in programming this stuff, we built a very good software, then I'm gonna ask him, and what did you contribute to this success? Did you bring the coffee to the team, or what did you do? And then usually the guys just say, no, I was the leader of the team, I was the lead programmer and I designed the whole thing. Then, for goodness sakes, tell it. Tell your contribution, tell me what you did. You were the most important guy here. So I want to hire you, man. This is what I need, right? So please don't be too modest in this situation. When you describe what you did, it's you who counts, not the team. Okay, the next is the result. Now most people describe the action, but they don't tell the result. Remember, managers are usually money oriented, numbers oriented. That's how they are going to be evaluated at the end of the year. So use money language, use numbers. Tell them, hey, I was so successful in my job in the call center. I managed to take 90% of the calls that were assigned to me. That was more than all the other people in my group. This is very important. Tell them how much, how many, what you did, what the percentage was. This is the result, because these are objective results. These are things that he can relate to. He's then gonna think, oh, my best guy does 95, but the next best guy only 80, 85. So hey, if this guy really did 90, he's the man for the job, right? Now this is more the rational result, whereas the achievement, and that's the last thing, is the emotional success. So for example, with my 90%, I was appointed Employee of the Month for 6 recurring months during 2017. This would be an emotional success. I was appointed team leader after being only 6 months in the company. Stuff like that. This is emotional success, and this emotion you need to show so that your interview partner sees what the happiness and what excitement it brings if you talk about your personal achievements. Okay? So let's look at the Sahara algorithm again. The situation, the assignment, the hot topics, the action you did, the result it had, the rational results, and the emotional results. And I'm gonna tell you, if you do this properly, you are already on a path where you can tell the same thing about your last job, the job you had before, and maybe the one you had 3 years ago. And what happens here is the level of attention of this guy is skyrocketing, because you have showed him in a rational and in an emotional way that you're the right person for that job. You added success after success. Now, do you think he's gonna question you whether you're the right guy for the job if you do that properly? Think about this. And this algorithm works for everything. It works for the top manager who just talks about other topics, other situation, other challenges than the guy in the factory. But it's the same algorithm for everyone in every industry. So if you do this, he knows already that you're the best for the job. Now, every interviewer, of course, need to ask questions. Okay? And then this is the next thing we need to cover today, because even if you have shown that you're the best person for this job, the questions will come. And there are real questions and there are dumb questions. The real questions are questions that really help the interview partner finding out if you're the right person, not only regarding your technical skills, but also with regard to your social skills and your self-competence. Okay? So, one of the real questions is, why do you want to work for us? This is something that I always ask, and I must tell you, it is amazing what people are answering here. Remember, I told you on a Friday, day before yesterday, I had a job interview. You wouldn't believe what this guy told me when I asked him, why do you want to work here? He told us, we were two guys interviewing him, he told us, oh, I heard that in this position, in this type position I'm applying, you need to work less than I'm working right now. I mean, what? Is this something you're gonna tell someone who needs to hire you? Oh, I want to work with your company because I don't want to work that much that I'm working right now because I'm lazy, or what? I mean, come on guys, get real, right? So why do you want to work for us? How do you answer that? I mean, this is something very specific, but you can use the nuggets that you have written down. You can use the information that he's given you and tell him, hey, you told me your company is involved in this and this charity work, and I think this is something that I really want to support with my workforce. Anything that you want, but get prepared for this question. The next real question that mostly occurs is, why should we hire exactly you, right? And if it's not clear after all the Sahara algorithms that you used before, now it should be clear that you use again the nuggets and the Sahara. So meaning, okay, if I understand you correctly, sir, you are looking for a man who does this and this, who is proficient in the call centers, and I think from what I told you I achieved during my career, I'm sure I'm going to be the right person in your company here. The next question, that is also a real question, this is more a technical question. I want to skip the answer to this because this is your field of expertise usually. How do you solve a particular situation? I have just added it here because this is a question that mostly occurs. You know your technical field of expertise. Hey, thanks for the host. You know how you solve the situations that have been posed to you, and then you can show him. You can always use the nuggets, you can always use the Sahara algorithm answering this question. So now it's an important question. Describe the greatest success in your career. This is a question that is directed to see how do you reflect yourself. What is the greatest success in your career? This is a question that shows a lot about your personality. And this is something that an interview partner who is trying to find out if he wants to work with you for the next 5 or 6 years maybe, he wants to know with whom will I work here. So what is the greatest success in your career? Please concentrate on the career. Don't tell him stuff, oh, the greatest success of me was me getting married and having kids. This is a very, very nice idea. This is a very good thing for you in your life, but it has nothing to do with your career, okay? So answer the question here. Take a thing from your past where you have prepared a Sahara algorithm before that you haven't used in the first introduction, and tell him what was a big success that you achieved. And the last real question that we want to look at here is a difficult one. Describe a failure and what did you learn from it. So this is the same thing, and it's not about the success, but it's also how do you handle difficult questions. How reflective are you with regard to your skills? Are you just thinking you're the best and the greatest? Or are you humble enough to admit that you have weaknesses? And this leads us to the dumb questions. You wouldn't believe what happens sometimes, but this is a real question that can be brought to you during a job interview. This is a typical HR management question. I have an HR management education, and we learned stupid things like that to find out how creative is this applicant. So how many tennis balls fit into a jumbo jet? How many, I don't know, beans fit into a Cadillac? All things like that. These are dumb questions, are stupid questions. And there's also a correct way to answering them, and this is not what I'm gonna teach you now. If I get one of these questions, I look at the guy and say, just for my understanding, is this something that I'm gonna encounter really in the job that I'm applying for, that I'm gonna put tennis balls into a jumbo jet, or do you just want to find out if I'm ready to find out creative solutions to impossible questions? And mostly the guy at the other end of the desk laughs and says, yeah, well, it's a question about your creativity. So I tell him, okay, let's show you an example of my creativity, my goodness, this word. And I'm using a Sahara topic about something I did already. I don't want to answer how many tennis balls fit into a jumbo jet, right? This is not what I'm going to do. And if they insist, if there's an HR lady or guy who insists that I answer this question, that I tell, okay, I'm going to estimate how long it is, how high it is, and how big a tennis ball is, because this is what they want to hear. But actually this is nothing that I want to get involved in. So the next question, it's a tough one. I think this is the toughest question which always arises, and it's always difficult. The question, what are your weaknesses? I want to dive a little bit deeper into this question because this was tough for me as well, always. Now there are a few ways how to answer it. The first, what you can do is by lying. So telling, oh, I don't have relevant weaknesses for this job I'm applying to, which of course is crap, and everybody knows this. And you're showing that you're a weak person by doing this, right? The second thing that people do is they make a stupid joke out of it. There was a guy I interviewed once, and the other interviewer beside myself, he asked him, hey, what is your greatest weakness? And he said, oh, beautiful women and fast cars. This is a stupid joke. Nobody laughs about this, especially not in a job interview situation. It just shows that you're an arrogant guy, which we don't want to hire in our company. Now, the third thing to counter this. This is the thing that most trainers, most job interview trainers will tell you to do. Disguise a strength as a weakness. So, meaning, I'm gonna tell something that sounds like a weakness but is a strength. Okay, so what does this mean, for example? Oh, my weakness is that I get always very impatient when the project doesn't succeed as fast and proceed as fast as I would like to have it to. Come on, man, cut the crap. This is not a good answer. I would propose to do a fourth way. Just be honest. Be honest and use the Sahara algorithm to explain your weakness. How does it look like? It's a very quick Sahara. Whenever something happens and I have to do something, a task, so I give you an example. Whenever there is a specification to write for a computer program and I have to write a very long and very detailed specification, now the hot topic, is your issue. I tend to have issues, so this is my weakness. I tend to have issues of motivation because I don't like doing monotone work for a long time. But action, what do I try? What I try then is I reserve every day 2 hours for this cumbersome work that I don't like. I reserve 2 hours every day so I can cope with my motivation issue, and I know that it's gonna be timely limited, and my motivation improves because I know I'm gonna finish my work on time as well. So what did you do? How did you answer the question about your weakness? You have admitted the weakness. I just admitted the weakness that I have issues with my motivation when I need to do tedious work, boring work, but I also reflected myself. I showed the guy that I'm working on it. I have my methods on coping with it, and then the whole situation improves at the end. Okay? So, that was it about the questions. Next pitfall. The interview partner tells you, he asks you, do you have any more questions? Mostly at the end of the interview. The answer is never, 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 never. I have no more questions. Imagine what the situation is. You are applying for a job in a company. That's the first day you are there. There's a lot of people working there. There's a lot of methods, a lot of work for you to be done, and you have no idea how they do this in the company. So there are always more questions. But what are the questions that lead you to your answer? And what is the answer you want to have now? The answer, what you want to have is, how well did I do with my interview? Do you want to hire me or not? And you can't just frankly ask, hey man, am I hired now? That doesn't work. he can't tell you, he won't tell you, he isn't allowed to tell you. So how you can find out if you're going to be hired or not? There are a few questions that you can tell him. One is, remember what he asked, are there any more questions for your side? You can say, I'm sure I have a lot of questions, but I'm sure they will be answered as soon as I start working here. Look at the beauty of this question. This question lets you find out how he's gonna react. So there are any reactions possible. One is, oh, what? I never told you that you can start working here, which is a sign for what? Yeah, maybe that you haven't succeeded, right? Or he can tell, oh yeah, of course, we're gonna have a lot of time here to answer your questions, which is a very good sign that he's gonna probably hire you, or that you are qualified for the next round of job applications. Okay, there are other things that you can use to find out if you did well or not. One is also a nugget. You can ask, yes, one more question. You mentioned two teams that are working here, Team Blue and Team Green. Which one will I work with? So the question leads him again to a reaction like, oh, you're gonna probably work with Team Green. That's a good sign, right? Or he says, not so sure, yeah, I don't know yet, which is also a good sign because he's at least thinking of taking you into his teams. A third nugget is, and this is usually the end of the questions, by when will I hear from you? You want to know. You don't want him that he tells you, thanks for the interview, thanks for the conversation, we gonna get back to you, you're gonna hear from us. And usually those people don't give you a date. These people just tell you, yeah, wait for a month, 2 months, a year, I don't know, right? So you want to anticipate this, and you can tell, by when will I hear from you? And then he tells, yeah, most probably in 2 or 3 weeks time. Then you can say, okay, may I contact you by that time, which would mean, for example, by end of September. And then you're gonna see how he reacts. Because don't be afraid if he reacts negatively. You would have received a no anyways. But now, if you walk out of this building, you already have a very good indication of, is he gonna hiring you or not. So, thanks a lot for watching this first job interview training. I learned a lot by showing this because it was first time for me right now that I brought all my trainings into one slide set, showing it to you this evening, and I hope you have learned something from it. I think I'm gonna do this maybe 1 or 2 more times in the future, and if I'm gonna do this, please tell me what you want to know, what you want to hear, answers, questions, or how do you prepare for this interview, or anything that has to do with job applications. Okay, so thanks again for watching. Have a nice evening. Goodbye, everyone. You can always watch the videos for the next 14 days, and I'm probably gonna post it to my YouTube channel as well. Good night, everyone.